The story I'm about to tell you is one that I wish I could forget. It happened to a man named Daniel Reeves. He wasn't looking for trouble. He wasn't chasing ghosts. He was just another tired traveler, passing through the mountains one stormy night in late October. The hotel was called the Silver Pines Inn, an old roadside lodge built in the 1930s, back when it used to be a sanatorium for tuberculosis patients. Locals still whisper that its foundations were laid over an older structure, something that had been buried long before the town even existed. Most people drive past it now, but sometimes, when the roads flood and there's nowhere else to go, people check in, and sometimes they don't check out. Daniel arrived just after midnight. The storm had eaten the road ahead, trees bending, power lines swaying. He'd been driving for nearly 12 hours, trying to make it to Denver before dawn. But when the GPS signal vanished and the rain became a wall, the Silver Pines Inn appeared like a flickering ghost through the fog. A single neon sign, half the letters dead, just the word Sil R glowing in red. He almost drove past it, but fatigue won over instinct. Inside, the air smelled of mildew and old pine cleaner. The lobby lights buzzed faintly. Wallpaper bubbled with moisture. Behind the counter stood a woman, mid-60s, thin, with hair the color of ash. "Just you tonight?" she asked, voice soft but strained. "Room 12's open." Her eyes lingered on him too long before she handed over a brass key. The tag attached wasn't plastic, it was bone. He didn't notice. Not yet. The hallway leading to room 12 was narrow and dim, carpet dark red, patterned like blood cells. Every few feet, an antique lamp flickered. Somewhere behind the walls, a slow drip echoed, steady, like a heartbeat. When Daniel reached the end, he stopped. Because the last door, his door, had scratches around the handle. Not random marks. They looked deliberate, as if someone had clawed at it from the inside. He told himself it was old damage, pushed the key in, and the door opened with a low moan. The room was small but tidy. A single queen bed, a wooden dresser, a writing desk beneath a large mirror framed in black wood. There were no paintings, no television, just that mirror. It dominated the space. Too big for the wall, too heavy for a place that size. When Daniel closed the door behind him, he caught a faint reflection, his shape distorted, as if the mirror's surface wasn't perfectly flat, almost like something was moving under the glass. A ripple. He blinked. It stopped. He showered, unpacked, and collapsed into bed. The mattress sagged in the middle, and the sheets smelled faintly of iron, metallic and old. The window rattled with wind, and somewhere in the walls, that steady dripping continued. He was just starting to drift when he heard it, a sound that didn't belong. Tap, 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 soft, slow, deliberate. It came from the desk, from the mirror. He sat up. The tapping stopped. He listened, breath held, but the silence was heavier now. He turned on the bedside lamp. Nothing, just his reflection, staring back. But as he watched, something flickered behind him, a shadow that shouldn't have been there. When he turned, the wall was empty. When he looked back, the mirror's surface was fogged, as though someone had breathed on it from the other side. Words began to appear, faint and shaky. "Let me out." Daniel stumbled back, heart hammering. He wiped the glass, but the words stayed, etched into the surface, not written. And that's when he saw it, the faint line running along the edge of the frame, like a seam. He pressed his fingers there. The frame shifted. It wasn't mounted. It was a door. Every instinct told him to leave, but curiosity is a trap. He pulled the frame gently. It creaked, a long, low groan, and swung open to reveal darkness. A tunnel stretched beyond. Wooden beams, cobwebs, the smell of rot and iron. The floor was covered in dust, except for footprints, bare footprints, leading inward. He aimed his phone's flashlight into the darkness, The beam vanished after a few meters, swallowed whole. The air that came out was freezing, colder than anything natural. Still, he stepped inside. One step, then another. The sound changed behind him. The faint hum of the room vanished, replaced by something softer. Breathing, not his own. Slow, steady, wet breathing. After about 10 feet, the tunnel opened into a small room. The walls were wood, stained dark with age. A single mattress lay in the corner, yellowed and soaked through. And on the wall above it, carvings. Dozens of them. Names. He leaned closer. Some were decades old, others fresh. At the bottom of the wall, in messy handwriting, he found his own name, Daniel Reeves. He hadn't written it. Something moved behind him. He turned, flashlight shaking. The beam landed on a shape in the tunnel, pale skin, long hair, crawling silently toward him. Its hands made the tapping sound, fingernails clicking on the wood as it moved. Its eyes reflected light like glass. Its mouth was open, but no breath came out. Daniel scrambled back, tripped over the mattress, dropped his phone. The light spun, catching flashes of skin, teeth, black hair, then went dark. For a few seconds, only silence, then the sound of whispering, dozens of voices, from the walls, from the floor, from inside the mirror. When Daniel woke, the tunnel was gone. He was lying on the floor of his hotel room. The mirror was closed. Morning sunlight leaked through the curtains. He told himself it had been a nightmare. He even laughed, but the scratches on his arm, deep, red, and human, said otherwise. He grabbed his bag, ready to leave, but when he tried to open the door, it wouldn't budge. The knob turned. Endlessly, as if not connected to anything, he pounded, shouted. No answer. The air grew heavy again. Then, the phone on the nightstand began to ring. He froze. It was an old rotary phone, beige, with a cracked receiver. No one had used one like that in decades. He lifted it slowly. Hello? A whisper, a woman's voice, faint, wet, echoing through the line. You opened it. He dropped the phone. It kept ringing, each ring louder than the last, until the glass in the mirror started to vibrate. Then it stopped. Silence. Daniel turned. His reflection wasn't alone anymore. A woman stood behind him, pale, translucent, her head tilted, hair dripping with black liquid that stained the carpet beneath. She smiled, and as her reflection lifted a hand, Daniel felt fingers brush the back of his neck. He ran, straight for the door. It opened easily this time. He bolted into the hallway, empty, silent, lights flickering. But every door he passed was open, and in every room there was a mirror, and in every mirror the same woman, watching. He found the lobby empty, the desk deserted, the register book open to a page with dozens of names, all crossed out. He called out. No answer. Then he saw the security monitor behind the desk, static, then flickers. Room 12, his room. On the screen, he saw himself standing there, right now, only he wasn't. He was in the lobby. He stared at the monitor, heart pounding. On the screen, the version of him turned toward the camera, smiled, and waved. He stepped back, stumbled into the wall, and something cold pressed against his shoulder. A hand. He turned. No one there. He ran for the exit doors, but when he pushed them open, there was no outside. Just more hallway. Endless hallway. Doors stretching into the distance. He shouted until his throat broke, but the sound only echoed back, distorted like laughter. Daniel realized then the Silver Pines Inn was no longer where he thought it was, or maybe it never had been. He wandered through halls that twisted in impossible ways. Doors led to staircases that looped back to the same floor. Windows looked out onto rooms instead of the outside world. And always, the mirrors. Some cracked, some fogged, all whispering. He smashed one with a chair. Behind the shards, he saw something moving. a dark figure crawling in the space between the walls, dragging itself through the glass. He smashed another, and another. Every time, more eyes appeared, more hands reaching out. He realized the mirrors weren't reflections. They were windows, and whatever was behind them was waking up. Hours, or maybe days, passed. Time didn't move the same way inside. He stopped feeling hunger, stopped feeling cold. At one point, he found the tunnel again, the one behind the mirror, but it wasn't the same. It was wider now, alive. The walls pulsed like veins, slick and warm to the touch. He followed it, deeper. He heard whispers, not from the woman, but from others. Voices of people begging for help. People he'd seen in the photos. He found a door at the end of the tunnel, small, wooden, carved with hundreds of names, the same names as the guest book. He pushed it open. Inside was a single mirror floating in darkness, and inside that mirror was the lobby, the real lobby, bright, clean, normal, guests checking in. He saw the old woman at the desk again, the one who gave him the key, but her eyes were black, like mirrors themselves. She looked directly at him through the glass and whispered, "You shouldn't have opened it, Daniel." Then her face split, the skin peeling back like paper, and the mirror shattered. 3 days later, a police report was filed. A passing driver claimed to see lights on in the abandoned Silver Pines Inn. When officers arrived, they found the place in ruins. No electricity, no signs of recent visitors, except for room 12. Inside, they found the mirror smashed to pieces, and behind it, the tunnel. The same tunnel, leading to a small hidden room. The walls were covered in names. And at the bottom, written fresh, carved deep, was Officer Blake. He was the one who found it. He laughed it off, said it was a prank. But later that night, his wife reported hearing tapping from their bathroom mirror. They sealed the Silver Pines Inn not long after, boarded the windows, demolished half of it. But they say mirrors from the rooms were auctioned off, antiques, sold cheap to collectors, hotels, and homes. So if you ever find yourself staring into a mirror that feels wrong, if your reflection lags for just a second, if you hear that faint tapping from behind the glass, don't touch it. Don't breathe near it. Don't open it, because she's still there, waiting. And the mirror remembers every face that's ever looked inside. Sometimes it looks back, sometimes it follows, and sometimes it pulls you through. You opened it too.